When my grandfather passed away in early spring, he left behind a house no one in the family wanted. It stood on the outskirts of a small town in northern Vermont, surrounded by fog-drenched woods and stories we never spoke of out loud. I was the only one foolish or desperate enough to take it. The house was over a century old, creaking with age, but structurally sound. I moved in on a rainy Wednesday evening, carrying just a few boxes and a head full of uncertainty. The room smelled of damp wood and forgotten memories. Every floorboard groaned under my feet, and every corner seemed darker than it should have been. The first few days passed uneventfully. I cleaned, unpacked, and tried to ignore the feeling that the house was watching. Not in the metaphorical sense. I mean, it felt like something behind the walls was tracking my every step. It started with a dream on the third night. I was walking through the upstairs hallway when I noticed a door at the end that didn't exist in real life. It was cracked open, and behind it was a staircase spiraling downward. Impossible, considering the house only had a basement that was sealed shut with rusted chains. I woke up sweating, but the dream lingered. Curiosity got the better of me, and the next day, I searched the hallway from my dream. To my surprise, there was a faint outline in the wallpaper, like a door that had been painted over long ago. I ran my fingers along the edge, hollow. That night I dreamed of the staircase again. This time I walked down a few steps. The air grew colder. Something whispered my name. I jolted awake at 3 a.m. When I stepped into the hallway to clear my head, I froze. The door from my dream, it was real. Not just a shadow, not just a trick of the light. A real wooden door, slightly ajar, revealing a spiral staircase that led into darkness below the house. I stared at it for a long time, heart pounding, trying to convince myself it was sleep deprivation or a prank of my own mind. I turned on every light in the hallway, and just like that, the door was gone. Gone as if it had never been there at all. But the floor beneath my feet still felt cold, like something had been pulled open and hadn't fully shut. The next morning, I convinced myself it had all been a dream. Stress, exhaustion, and a creaky old house playing tricks on me. That's what I told myself as I drank cold coffee and stared out at the endless mist swallowing the trees behind the house. But something about the hallway stayed in my mind. I walked up and down it at least 5 times, knocking on the walls, checking for seams, signs, anything, nothing, just smooth, faded wallpaper and a chill I couldn't explain. That night I stayed up late with the lights on. I was too afraid to sleep. At exactly 3 o'clock, I heard something. It was faint, almost like the ticking of a distant clock. Then it changed. Footsteps. Not creaks, not the house settling, but actual footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from beneath the floorboards. There was no way it could be the basement. The entrance was still sealed with those rusted chains, the padlock untouched since I arrived. I pressed my ear to the floor in the upstairs hallway. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Then it's one more step. I stumbled back, heart pounding. I slept with the hallway light on that night. I didn't dream about the door or the staircase. But just before I drifted off, I thought I heard breathing, not in my room, but just outside it. The next day, I called my aunt. She was one of the few family members who had ever spent time in the house. When she was a teenager, I didn't tell her everything, just asked if she remembered anything odd. Her voice changed. "Don't go looking for what's under that house," she said quickly. "That staircase was sealed for a reason. Grandpa had it bricked over when he was young." I asked why. There was a long pause. "I used to hear people talking down there," she whispered. Voices laughing, but no one was ever there. Before I could ask more, she hung up. That night, I placed my phone outside my bedroom door and started a voice recording app, just in case. The next morning, I checked the audio. For the first few hours, there was nothing. Just silence. Then at 3 o'clock, the sound of wood groaning. Then footsteps. And at 3:23, a voice. Raspy, dry, not mine. It said one word. "Come." And then faintly the sound of a door creaking open. I didn't sleep the next night. I kept the lights on, the hallway door locked, and a baseball bat next to my bed. But deep down, I knew none of it would matter. Whatever was happening in this house wasn't something I could stop with locks or weapons. The next morning, I decided to search the attic. If there were any answers, they might be hidden up there. The attic door was stiff, but it opened with a groan that echoed through the house like a warning. Dust hung in the air like a fog. Boxes, old furniture, and faded portraits lined the walls. In one corner, under a moth-eaten tarp, I found a wooden trunk, Inside was a leather-bound journal cracked with age. The first page was dated 1921. It belonged to Thomas Granger, my great-grandfather. Most of the entries were dull: weather updates, crop failures, family news. But toward the back, the tone shifted. March 14th, 1932. The door appeared again last night. I boarded it up. Anna says she hears voices coming from below. I told her not to listen. April 2nd, 1932. Something came up the stairs. I didn't see it, but the floorboards were wet, like it dragged the river with it. The last entry chilled me. May 12th. If this is found, don't open the door. Don't listen to it. If you hear your name, run. I read the line again and again. If you hear your name... My phone buzzed. One new voicemail. No caller ID. I put it on speaker. At first static. Then my voice, saying my name. Except I had never recorded that. It was off. Slower, distant. As if it came from underwater. I deleted it immediately, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Later that evening, the door appeared again. This time I didn't run. I just stared. It was open wider now, revealing more of the staircase, a spiral of stone steps, slick and black, winding downward into impossible darkness. The air spilling from the opening was cold and damp, like the inside of a well. Then a sound. Not footsteps. Not a voice. Breathing. Slow. Heavy. As if something enormous waited just beyond the bottom step. I took one step forward before I stopped myself. Because I could hear something else now. My own voice coming from the darkness. Calling me. Whispering the same word from the voicemail. Come. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hallway with every light on, staring at the door that shouldn't exist. The staircase was still there, still open, still breathing. Yes, I swear the air itself was alive. I tried calling my aunt again, no answer. I thought about leaving, packing up and forgetting this house ever existed. But something kept me anchored. Not fear, not curiosity. It was worse than that. It felt like the house wanted me to stay. At exactly 3 o'clock, the lights flickered, then died. Silence. Except for one thing. Footsteps. On the stairs coming up. They were slow, rhythmic, and wet, like someone was dragging their feet. Through water. I grabbed my flashlight and backed away from the door. The light beam trembled in my hand as the sound grew louder. And then... it stopped. Right behind the door. I stood there for what felt like hours, waiting for it to open. But it didn't. Instead, something slid across the floor from the shadow of the doorway to my feet. I looked down. It was the journal. Open. And on the new page, in wet ink that hadn't been there before, was a single sentence. If you descend, it won't let you leave. I should have run. I should have burned that house to the ground and never looked back. But I didn't. I picked up the flashlight, and I stepped through the door. The cold hit me like a wall. Every step echoed for miles. The deeper I went, the more distorted the air became. The stone walls began to pulse. I saw things etched into them. Symbols, faces, hands clawing toward the light. After what felt like an hour, I reached the bottom. And there it was. A room circular, black, silent. In the center stood a mirror. But it didn't reflect me. It showed the hallway upstairs. And me, still standing there, staring down into the staircase. But I wasn't up there anymore. I turned to run. The stairs were gone. Only the mirror remained. Now I understand. The staircase doesn't lead down. It leads out. And the one upstairs? It isn't me.